Welcome to Friday, April 21st, 2023, your Day Weather Podcast being brought to you by Cowboy State Daily and also being brought to you by WYDOT. Well, chilly weather on the way, I'm afraid to say, through the weekend. That photo there is from the Wyoming High Country Lodge in the far northern Bighorn Mountains of Wyoming. And that stake right there, that's a 7. That means 7 feet of snow. Lots of heavy snow in the northern Bighorn Mountains over the last couple of days and more coming. The snow heading on now into the last days of April into May up into the high country. It really hasn't even begun to melt out yet, and the snowpack areas are growing in some locations. And with this cold, moist northwest wind aloft, more snow's coming to the mountains, some snow and rain showers in the plains, and boy, it's going to be chilly. I hate to say it. Over the next 3 days, really especially the next 2. We have a little bit of a warm-up Sunday and Monday. If you want anything resembling something more like spring, it's those 2 days. However, as we hit the middle of next week through next weekend, it's going to be cold, it's going to be unsettled. Now, the good news is there is going to be some precipitation coming, which some areas really need. And there will be rain and snow chances, but we're going to hit an extended period of colder and unsettled weather mid to late next week. What that means is we got to wait till May. I hate to say it. We just got to get April in the rearview mirror before we can talk about any consistently warmer weather. And we do see that at least for the first week of May of maybe things warming up a bit. But in the meantime, there's going to be a lot of frustration out there over the next 7 to 10 days with the weather. The satellite imagery today really shows nicely the northwest winds aloft, which I'll show you here on the 500 millibar. Here's a big area of low pressure up over North Dakota, counterclockwise spin around that, pumping in cold air. And winds aloft, the jet stream is moving from the northwest to the southeast, and you can see these streaking clouds coming on in. Now there's energy and there's moisture in these clouds, and those jet stream winds hitting the mountains from the northwest will produce developing areas of mountain snow in the central and northern Rockies. Still, stormy weather sitting up in the Gulf of Alaska. That's what's coming later on in the forecast period. So there's the low up over the Arrowhead area of Minnesota, back into North Dakota, northwest winds aloft. You can see it right there with the jet stream flow and the cold, moist air up there in the Gulf of Alaska. So the trajectory of everything into our part of the world is this coming from this source region. So of course, you're not going to see anything that's going to be really warm. This is by Sunday morning. There's a slightly more westerly flow, so there's a little bit of a warm-up, but not a big one. Precipitation today and into Saturday looks like this. You can see that the precipitation lines up with the flow aloft coming in from the northwest, and this precipitation, part of that low up into Minnesota there. So this is a pattern that's going to produce more snow up into the high country, with some of those showers bleeding out on into the plains. There's going to be some snow showers along the I-80 corridor, I-70 up into Colorado as well. As we take a look at the snowfall forecast, you can see it'll be cold enough that some snow showers will reach the plains and more snow up into the high country as well. This is through Tuesday. These are the temperature anomalies for the next 5 days. So as we showed you yesterday, it's just going to be cold. It's just going to be another stretch of colder than average temperatures. Now next week gets a little messy. I'll show you why, because we have actually 2 storm systems to deal with. We've got this system right here that we talked about yesterday taking a different path. It still looks like it's going to do it, taking a track more south, which is going to be good news for this area right here, especially to get some badly needed rain. Some of it's going to be in the form of wet snow, but still looks encouraging for winter wheat country to get some badly needed moisture. See this guy up here? Well, this guy looks like it's going to come in right behind this guy as it heads east. Now, look where it is. See, it's up over British Columbia. So it's going to bring northern British Columbia weather into the northern central Rockies and into the Plain States next week. By Wednesday morning, that low slowly drifts south and east. So there's going to be an axis of precipitation forming here, and this axis will drop southeast as this low drops southeast. Then look what happens by Friday. By Friday morning, this high pressure ridge builds along the west coast, which in turn allows this low to dig. It actually kind of digs not only south, but a little west into the region. So what that's going to do is drag areas of rain and snow and another push of cold air. The air will come in right from here into this region here. So this is going to be another situation where we've got one system coming in, especially in the Tuesday, Wednesday timeframe of next week. And then by Friday into next weekend, this plunge of colder, moist air comes in on the backside. And precipitation could be pretty good with this. Now, as we told you yesterday, the precipitation maps are going to change. So don't lock in on into anything yet. It's a little too early for that. But you add both storm systems together and you can see where we've got this opportunity for some needed moisture right there. Another area of heavier moisture up in the northern areas. We'll just see how it all comes together. But the overall writing message is two things: colder and possibly wet with these storm systems coming on in. And look at the snowfall forecast over the next 7 to 10 days. There it is. It still looks like winter. Look at this. It could even be as cold in parts of the northeastern United States for some very late season snow in the higher terrain of the northeastern United States. So misery loves company, right? So most of the nation over the next 10 days, with the exception of California and the Great Basin, is going to be colder than average, 10 days added up all together. Even colder than average going all the way into the Gulf Coast region. So April is going to go out with a really cold pattern. So when is it going to warm up? Well, this is by next Sunday into Monday. The low starts to head off to the east, but northerly flow is still coming in behind it. That's why the colder weather is likely going to last through all of next weekend. But right here, this area of high pressure should have a dome of warmer air with it that will eventually drift in after next weekend. So the work week of that May 1st time frame, sometime after the 1st, is when temperatures will warm up. They're probably going to warm up rather quickly, which is going to be a concern for melting mountain snowpack. That's another bridge we'll have to cross here going forward into the near future. Have yourself a good weekend despite what I just showed you. We'll see you Monday.